Stephen in Austin, line 2.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
I'm just calling because I have a lot of discussions on the internet about atheism, and I feel like atheism obviously has a bad stigma with religious people, but that it has a bad stigma with people who I consider to be atheists too, that do their best to avoid the label because of that stigma. And I'm just wondering what you guys think should be done to mitigate that. Like, I hear a lot, oh, I'm not an atheist, I'm an agnostic, because, you know, atheists think that there's definitely no God, and it's dumb to think you can prove that. But I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to call and see what you guys thought.
Here's one thing I would say, which is that the word atheist has bad connotations because religious believers have specifically set out to defame the word. I mean, you know, religious believers are always saying, like that last guy, in fact, was saying, if you don't believe in God, then you've got no hope for anything, whatever he was trying to say. And a lot of people say that if you don't believe in God, then you have no morals. And
right, of course. I'm microwaving a baby right now.
And it's not really the word that's the problem. People do have problems with the overall concept. I mean, American Atheists likes to remind people that no matter how harmless the billboards are that they try to put up, their least offensive billboard ever probably was basically one that said, don't believe in God, you're not alone.
Right.
That doesn't seem to be attacking anybody, but it was hugely protested. And I think you have to bear in mind that people badmouth atheists not just because they don't like the way the word sounds, but they want to scare people away from
The word.
believing those things.
Yeah.
And atheists have tried over the years to shift to different kinds of words. There was a group that said, from now on, let's call ourselves the Brights, which I didn't care for because that sounded kind of smug and condescending.
Yeah.
There are people who refer to themselves as secular humanists, which is very nice, but you ever listen to a fundamentalist preacher spitting the word secular humanists? You know, they can make a bad word out of everything.
Yeah.
So I think the way
Right.
to rehabilitate the word atheist is basically to confidently apply the label to yourself, not be put off by any attacks, and
Correct
model
your definition when
Yeah.
you hear it wrong.
Right.
and model the behavior of a good and decent person that people would want to get to know.
Right. See, the stigma I'm talking about is more like people that see atheists just as, I guess, argumentative and wanting to stir the pot and everything, when I just consider atheists anyone that does religious belief, you know?
Well, there's some
I guess
both.
that's all I have to talk about. I don't know where else to go with this.
No, I mean, you're right. It has a stigma, and it should be addressed, and I think that Russell was describing ways to address it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think you maybe shouldn't shy away from taking their criticisms personally. Like, you know, I don't want to,
Yeah.
like, you know, they say, well, I don't want to call myself an atheist because I think they're argumentative jerks. And I would just ask, really? Do you think I am?
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot you can do about people trying to mess around with language except to push back in the same way. I personally hope.
Make it come down to the issues instead of about the labels. Yeah.
Yeah, and I personally would like to see atheists use that same tactic to make fundamentalist a dirty word.
Well, I have a quick story that I actually talked to somebody like a couple months ago about the label atheist. They had seen the show and talked to me about it, and they were like, well, it seemed like you guys were defining it a little differently than I understand it. And we had probably a 10-minute conversation where at the end of it, they were like, oh, I've been calling myself agnostic, but I guess I'm an atheist.
Right.
And I said, yeah. And to me, that was how the conversation should go. It should just be a 10 minutes of explanation, question and answer, and then at the end of it, oh, yeah, I don't believe a God exists. I guess I am an atheist.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people a lot of times, like after discussing it with them, I'm like, congratulations, you're an atheist, whether you want to define yourself as that or not.
Well, then what happened, though, is that he went to go talk to a friend of his, and they share the same perspective. And so he had the same conversation we had, and then at the end of it, he's like, so you're an atheist? And his friend said, no, I'm not an
Right.
atheist. And he said he came to me and said, I don't understand like why couldn't understand why he wouldn't understand that he was an atheist. And I was just like, some people have an aversion to the label and they're just not going to wear it, and you can't force them to. I mean, they are atheists, they don't believe God exists, and yet they're not going to ever self-label atheist, or at least not right now. And you can't make them do it, but you know, they are an atheist, kind of like what you were just saying.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson specifically said he avoids the word atheist, and I personally think he is one, and I wish he would go ahead and take the label, but he doesn't, and that's not my problem.
Yeah.
All right. Whether they label themselves as one or not, I guess it's just good that people are in the right mindset. So,
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
whatever. All
Okay.
right, well, thanks for having me on. Big fan of the
Thank
show.
you.
Thanks
and
for
I'll
calling.
Keep listening. Bye.
All right, bye.